Doctor Who. Horseplay. The Pinkie Doctor fidgeted in her seat as she watched the horse race. She was excited to watch the race, but also frustrated because she had so much energy she wanted to release and had to stay still and seated. She found a letter in the TARDIS, likely left there when she was out on an adventure, inviting her to bet on and watch a horse race at Newmarket in Suffolk, UK. Doctor Who. Horseplay. Written and read by Nick Payne. Script edited by TheHideawayTavern. Upon her arrival, she had been given a letter by a member of staff who recognised her from a photo he had been given with the letter, and had been given orders to give her the letter and photograph. She took both and went off to read the letter. The letter told her to bet on a horse called Whipped Cream. Sensing a trap, she decided to ignore the letter and bet on a horse called Raspberry Ripple instead. She didn't have much money on her, but she didn't trust the note one little itty-bitty bit. Not even a morsel. She'd prefer to lose the little money she had than walk into a trap. As she read the list of names at the betting board, she noticed they were all named after desserts and sweet treats. As well as whipped cream and raspberry ripple, there was blueberry muffin, chocolate crunch, orange twist, lemon meringue, apple crumble, lime grove, which sounded like a name for a BBC TV studio rather than one for a horse, which sounded more like a... which sounded like a name for a BBC TV studio rather than a horse. Maple leaf, gingerbread surprise, lollipop, and strawberry fields. The Doctor thought, thinking back to when she met the Beatles. After choosing and betting on Raspberry Ripple, she decided to look around the grandstands. There was honestly very little of interest to her outside of the betting and the food areas, so she eventually took her seat in the grandstand. She got a decent view of the racecourse. At 3 p.m. sharp, the race began. The gates opened and the horses raced across the track. Whipped Cream bolted as it ran round the track, but Raspberry Ripple was close behind. It seemed as if Whipped Cream would win after all, but at the last second, Raspberry Ripple overtook his competitor by a nose and won the race. The crowd roared and cheered, and Raspberry Ripple neighed with joy. The Doctor jumped for joy in her own little way. She, along with a twelfth of the people watching, dashed to collect her portion of the winnings. Quite a bit of money for all the bidders, since the odds were against Raspberry Ripple. Whipped Cream had been the favourite. After collecting her money, the Doctor went for a slap-up lunch of nice little sandwiches and little cakes at the Racecourse restaurant. She ate a cupcake with pink icing. Delicious. She would go on to eat 16 of them in total. Tea and coffee were served, and guests chatted away. As she tucked into her lunch, she wondered why she had been invited here today. Yes, she was happy to collect her winnings and for Raspberry Ripple to claim victory, but she was puzzled by the letter telling her to bet on the runner-up. She could only guess someone wanted her to bet on the wrong horse for some reason. Then a terrible thought crept over her. What if the letter was sent telling me to bet on Whipped Cream, knowing that I would ignore it and choose Raspberry Ripple or one of the other horses to back? Is this a trap? Especially since someone was able to get inside the TARDIS. She pondered this thought as she dug into her 16th and final cupcake. Suddenly she started to feel drowsy and unwell, but it wasn't because she stuffed herself full of cakes. Maybe that would have affected her other incarnations, except Sweetie. Like Sweetie, the Pinkie Doctor had a high intake of sugar in their bodies that they could tolerate due to the sugary diets, due to them liking sweets and sweet treats. This was different. It felt like a knockout drug mixed into her cupcake. The Doctor said as she passed out in her seat. When she woke up, she found herself in a horsebox, tied to the barred inner doors of the horsebox. The horsebox was small, featuring hay on the floor, a jockey's whip and helmet on the wall, and a solid door with a little window for transport, and a stool with a thug-looking man sitting on it. It felt like it was on the move, so it must be one of those horseboxes that transported horses. Bad cake, she said in a groan. You should be grateful, said the fug-looking man. That was quite a big dose of chlorohydrate we put in your cake. The doctor stirred more. Chlorohydrate? She asked. Why? Our master paid us a massive sum to bring you to him, the fug man said with a laugh. More than any of those fat cats with their winnings from the race. Which reminds me, we took yours as a bonus. That's stealing, the doctor shouted, now cross and fully awake. The fug man stood and approached the doctor. Well, what are you gonna do about it? He asked mockingly, laughing in her face before returning to his seat. Oh, all the things I could do to you like this, he said, as a dastardly grin spread across his face. His eyes lingered on her for what felt uncomfortably long, becoming less dastardly and more sinister. She knew what he was thinking, and the thought sickened her. Alas, we need you delivered alive, in one piece, and unharmed, he said, with a scuff in his breath. For now, that was a relief to hear, because if she was being kept unharmed, alive, and in one piece, as her captor had put it, what was waiting for her when she was delivered to his paymaster? Please don't tell me it's the master again, she thought. It wouldn't be too long before the horsebox stopped moving. Oh, are we there yet? The doctor asked. I need to go pee. Be grateful that we're allowed that instead of making you do it in the hay like a horse, the thug said gruffly, grabbing her chin. I thought you couldn't hurt me, the doctor asked. Yes, but I can give you a little taste of what things could have been, the thug exclaimed. Suddenly the back door opened and another thug appeared. Boss wants the babe. Well, at least he didn't say the other B word, referring to a woman, the doctor thought, as the first thug removed the ropes from the bars. How very kind of you, she said as she slid down off the bars, her cowgirl-esque boots touching the hay on the floor of the horsebox. The thug then proceeded to turn her round and tie the ends of the rope around her arms, legs, and body, and around her wrists and ankle. How very unkind of you, the doctor exclaimed, changing her statement. The second thug then unlocked and opened the inside barred door. Bring the prisoner. The first thug nodded and escorted the doctor out of the horsebox. Oh, we're off to see the judge, she asked. You know, orange really isn't my colour. I look better in a pink prison jumpsuit if you're planning on locking me up. Oh, you stop yapping, the first thug shouted, becoming annoyed with the doctor. Bad enough. I have to listen to your annoying voice. Annoying? 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 The doctor snapped. I'll have you know that my voice is incredibly popular, thank you very much. The thugs tried their best to ignore her as they escorted her across the courtyard towards a nearby stable. As they arrived, a second thug got out a handkerchief and wrapped it round the doctor's mouth. She cried out to no avail. All she could do was make muffled noises. The two thugs laughed. Ah, much better. With the doctor now gagged, they walked inside the large stable pen. The second thug pressed a button and the floor lowered like a lift. A fake door slid out to conceal the lift. Oh, it's like a view to a kill, the doctor said, but her words came out in muffles. The lift then stopped and the two thugs walked the doctor down a corridor. They soon arrived at a room and went inside, where there was a cold metal chair waiting. They tied her to the chair with more rope, but removed the handkerchief so she could talk again. Oh, that feels liberating, she said with a gasp. Got any cupcakes? She asked, as the two thugs left the room. The door closed behind them, leaving the doctor alone momentarily. Across the room another door opened, and a large horse creature stepped out, walking towards her. Doctor! It said, in a deep, booming voice. Hello, the doctor said cheerfully. Have we met? You do not remember me? The horse snarled. You defeated my plans for the conquest of Zion, the planet of talking animals. Now I am an outcast, banished never allowed to return to my home without being arrested and imprisoned forever if I did. Oh, well, it sounds like you got what you deserved, the doctor said sarcastically. If you hadn't not defeated me, I would have ruled Xenon, the horse shouted with conviction. And then the universe! The doctor rolled her eyes. Universal domination. Our asylums are filled with people and aliens who think they are Napoleon. Or God. She looked to the audience she knew was there. As another Bond reference for all of you at home, a Dr. No quote. Shut up! The horse shouted in frustration. I will be rid of you once and for all, Doctor! He smiled. It was fortunate that we were able to capture you today when nobody would notice a horse walking around the farm, which I do sometimes for some air. This place gets a little stuffy, you know. Well, it's pretty much Lunar New Year time, the doctor said. Or Chinese New Year if you prefer, and it's 2026 AD. It's the year of the horse. Ah, yes, the horse said. The year of the horse, because my victory is already set in stone. No, silly, the doctor said. It's because the horse was the 7th animal to cross the river as part of the race in the Chinese zodiac positions. 12 animals, all getting a year named after them. Rat, ox, tiger, no wait, he's a friend of mine, tiger, rabbit, Fluttershy's favourite, dragon, snake, horse, that's you by the way, the goat, sorry I mean goat, monkey, rooster, dog, woof, and pig. You probably saw some piggies on your walk around the farm. Enough! The horse said. I find your rumblings to be incredibly annoying, Doctor. Nevertheless, it is the perfect time to get my revenge on you. The universe has chosen this day as fate. Look, Horseman McLovin, I've never met you before, the doctor said, though doubt crept into the back of her mind. Which me was it who defeated you? She ran off a list of her predecessors. There's grumpy old geezer, grumpy young music lady, less grumpy but quite stern spy guy, my bestie sweetie, then the ultimate one, his fantastic lookalike, the one with the best eyes, the one who looks like a teenage crime fighter, and the war heavy one. After her, the thief guy, the sports dude, the one no one knows anything about because she's so mysterious, and the marvellous one we thought would be the last one, but then became the cool one. Speaking of, there's him, and lastly, my direct predecessor, who has a thing for wearing diamonds. She hoped by listing off her other selves, mostly by description, she could confuse the horse just enough to give her more time to formulate a plan of escape. BTW, I'm the high on sugar, cake, and party-loving one, if you wanted to know. The one who looks like she is half fox, the horse answered, overwhelmed and taken aback by the doctor's continued ramblings. She was really popular on Xenon, the horse confessed. The horse confessed with a bashful blush. Actually, yeah, she was hot. Would have, tried to get with her had she not foiled my plans. Curse you, Doctor Who! He stomped his hoof on the ground in anger, cracking the floor. OMG, that's my direct successor, the Foxy Doctor, the Pinkie Doctor said with glee. Ah, no wonder I don't know who you are. You've captured an incarnation before the one who stopped you. Idiot. The doctor laughed, tied to her chair. Dumbfounded, the horse looked at her with intense anger, his steely eyes fixed on her cheeky expression. Soon, a nasty grin appeared across his face, a toothy smile indicating he was thinking something diabolical. Yes. Oh, yes, that's good. That's very good indeed, the horse said. The doctor stopped laughing. She could sense something was wrong. What is? She asked. The response from the grinning horse made her sugary warm blood turn cold. I'm going to dismantle you, piece by piece, till there is nothing left of you, so your foxy follow-up can't stop my original plans, he responded with a devious grin. Whoa, hey now, let's not be too hasty, hey? Get it? Hasty? Hey, hasty, huh? The doctor was just saying anything she could to get out of this predicament. Come on, that was a good one. I have other jokes if you'd like to hear them. With clever wordplay, I can sing, dance, perform, act, do improv RP, etc. Heck, I know this fun tavern we could go for a drink, run by a super sexy blue-haired innkeeper. Silence! The horse roared, getting sick of the doctor's ramblings again. Plus, I've been to that particular tavern. The head barmaid kicked me out. Literally. She's super strong, especially when she's angry. Based, Sakura, the doctor whispered to herself. Besides, I can't let you become your foxy self, the horse said. I need to be rid of you now if I am to stand any chance of taking over Xenon, then the universe. Geez, get a hobby, dude, the doctor said sarcastically. Also, you aren't my first megalomaniac menace I've had to face in my 16 lives so far. 17 with Foxy, probably more after her. Suddenly there were some loud bangs outside. I thought we were underground, the doctor said. The horse roared past her and looked into the other room where the two thugs were watching the Lunar New Year fireworks on their TV in the break room. The horse demanded them to turn it down. Reluctantly, they did, but this gave the doctor an idea. If only she could reach into one of her pockets, she could recover a small firework-making device that the spectacular doctor had given her at the Halloween party. And people said that party wasn't scary. I'll show them, the Pinkie Doctor whispered to herself as she tried to loosen her arms and hands tied up together by rope. Fortunately, like Spectacular, she could twist her body parts to get into and out of ropes, cuffs, and any other form of restraint. She could have done it sooner if she had wanted to, but wanted to find out what was going on, who was behind it all, and why. She also wanted to mess around with them for a bit. Now she knew and had her fun, it was time to leave. She managed to maneuver her hands into her pockets, and yes, there was a little firework-making device. She grinned and activated the device. Her intention was to use it to free her, but another use for it became clearer as the fireworks shot out of the device and around the room and the facility. Whoops, she said, starting to untie herself with tricks used by her friend Harry Houdini. As she did, the fireworks basically damaged part of the facility, flying around and almost hitting the thugs. One even flew into the horse's bottom and exploded there. He screamed and was blown into the air, then landed on his chest really hard. Now he really is a fire horse, the doctor said quietly to herself, and tried to hold in her laughter. She picked up the horse's phone laying on a nearby table, and whilst the commotion was happening, she phoned the unit and told them to come by tracing the number she called from. As the unit rushed to the location, the doctor sneaked to the stable lift and took it back to the surface, whilst the horse and his thugs were preoccupied. Once she was upstairs, she was able to let out her laughter. Unit arrived within 10 minutes. Oh, about time you showed up, the doctor said, as a group led by Colonel Eyesight arrived. Ho, 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 no worries, the jolly colonel said. The doctor then showed the unit soldiers the Horsebox lift. Because it was so big, it only required a single trip down with everybody. Upon its arrival, the last of the fireworks were dying down and the horse was telling his thugs to clean up, before himself verbally exploding at them for the doctor escaping upon noticing the room she was kept in being empty. Suddenly, the unit soldiers surrounded them with guns pointed at them. They had no choice but to surrender, but the horse went without screaming, yelling and cursing. As he and the thugs were arrested and escorted out, the horse got one last "Curse you, Doctor Who!" in there. The doctor just waved and smiled. Bye-bye, she said, and recovered her stolen winnings. Unit confiscated the thug's remaining pay, equipment, and even the horse's spaceship that he had used to get from Xenon to Earth. With the underground base under unit control and reports filed, the doctor returned back to the racecourse. Then she had an idea. If the horse met my future self in his past, then in his present met a past me to the one he knew, maybe that letter was sent to me by someone who'll know I'd choose a different horse instead of the one listed? She smiled as she returned to her TARDIS. She travelled back a few hours. She wrote an invite letter to her past self, inviting her to the race. Then she wrote the same letter she had received from the staff member, telling her to back whipped cream in the race. She put the second letter in an envelope, put her name on it, grabbed a photo of herself, and went to find that very same staff member. When she found him, she asked him to give the letter to her twin sister, who was coming to the race on her behalf due to her being too busy, and left the photo with him so he could identify her. "I told you I was good at acting and role-play," she whispers to the audience. She then returned to her TARDIS and travelled back further to an earlier adventure, sneaking into her TARDIS in its past and leaving the letter for her younger self to find. Then she quickly returned to her TARDIS in its present and quietly snuck away. On her way back into time and space, she popped by a few animal rescue charities to give them her winnings, so all of them could continue to rescue horses and other animals who had been abandoned and mistreated. She hoped some good would come out of it. Just another day in her life helping others out. Now that, or something that tasted sweet. "Oh, that final sentence is so corny," the Pinkie Doctor said and laughed when she read the final line of this story. And asked me, the writer, to add this final line in. I have, of course, obliged, as you can tell. She's happy with this story now, and we hope you enjoyed it too. The end. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne audio YouTube channel.